I wanted to quickly address just some thoughts about abortion and rights and women's rights and all that stuff really quick because I just had a couple thoughts that I think some people just completely just cruise over. And I think that if you consider these couple little things I want to say, you might be left with a better discussion with people, generally speaking, when it comes to this. So the first thing is that what most people tend to do with this kind of topic is they think that the answer is black and white, but it's not black and white. And inherently in nature, things have a certain time. Like it goes from black to white. So for instance, from from the sperm to a fertile egg to a baby, whatever. Like there's a timeline. And to say that, hey, we can sum up this whole concept of what is life, when is life, blah, 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 in a black and white manner, it's starting off on the wrong foot. It's not true. It's not black and white. Now, you can have a black and white opinion. That's a little different. But the subject has to kind of say, hey, listen, if we're talking about this is how I feel. And if we're talking about here on the timeline, this is how I feel. And then that makes a little bit more sense because you should be able to say, I think in a gradient, but I feel in black and white. And when you discuss that and knowing what people are talking about, what they're thinking or feeling, is a really good start. That's kind of generally the case for many heavy discussions. So for this one, if you want to think, it's like one, if you're wondering where I stand, to say it, I would say that it's kind of like, let's say the whole it's escaping me. So the people who are against abortion, right? The part that I agree with them is that it is a life. I do agree that it's almost a life almost immediately because, and this is why I think this is that if you look at a chicken and a chicken's egg and you can look up the state of an egg from to birth, like of a chicken eggs, birth cycle or whatever, it almost instantly has a heart and it is alive and it moves around and it does stuff. And it's pretty clear. There's no denying that it's almost instantly life. And I use a chicken because it's a simpler organism in a sense, because it's like an external egg, right? So you can really see it and go, oh, well, actually, okay, this is what's going on. It's an egg. It needs heat. It needs care, whatever. And it's just that with humans, it's inside. So with that part, I would say, yeah, absolutely. Like it is a life. And if you do get an abortion, you are definitely killing a thing. Now, I am not necessarily that way. I just say I agree with this point. And then the pro-choice, I agree. I think that people should be able to do whatever the F they want. Absolutely. And it is their body and it is theirs. And nobody should be able to tell anybody what they can do with their own body. End of story. I completely agree with that. I especially don't think that the government should ever have more power in your life. They should be supporting your life and everything that you want to be doing. The more power the government gets, it just never comes back. Like, so my friend Phil, who's an awesome dude, and my brother, they both have talked about how if the government gets a certain amount of power and they say it's temporary, it's just for this movement or this thing, once something like that gets power, it will never, ever, ever come back. Once something gets power like that, it's just they keep it. It's end of story. You'll never have that. Your freedom in that sense is gone. And that is why I am really opposed to the government having more power no matter what. Like nearly no matter what. So where do I stand? Well, that's the whole thing, is I stand in exactly what I said. It's a life you are absolutely killing. Fine, your situation calls. If you say, hey, whatever, rape victim, whatever, lifestyle, whatever, if you want to get an abortion, then that's up to you. But it is killing a life. And I just think that I'm not one to be able to tell you what to do. Like, that's your life. Like, that's your kid, like, basically. And end of story. That's the kid. You're killing your kid, but that's your right. And I still support that more than anything else. Like, I support free speech. You should be able to say whatever the hell you want, because the consequences of everything is always the trade-off. I could go completely be a madman and start yelling stuff and being racist or whatever, but the consequence of that is jail time, getting like killed, beaten up, whatever. There's a consequence for whatever it is. But I do support the anybody feeling like they can do whatever they want. It's just, yeah, there's consequences. That's why people live in a society and don't cause crimes, and they learn what's right and wrong, because they see and they inherently have feelings of what's right and wrong. But unfortunately, not everybody knows that. So that's where, there's movements to raise awareness, there's marches, there's all that stuff to try to convince people that one way is right and another way is wrong. So that's kind of what I'm saying. But again, it goes back to the idea that the overarching thing is that you can agree with both sides of any argument, especially this one, where it's a gradient. It's not black and white. It's just trying to turn it into something like that. It's not really doing you well. And also, as far as government goes, never give them more power ever. And that's the end of this rant. Cheers.